Historically, surprisingly little is known about Ellora, the congregation of 34 Hindu, Buddhist and Jain man-made caves located in the district of Aurangabad in Maharashtra. Whatever little is known is also very sketchy and does not lend itself to building a proven history of the place, its reason for construction, its architects, or any other statistics of interest. What is even more surprising is the fact that all the 34 caves were constructed between 500 AD and 1000 AD, which is well within the realm of recorded history of the Indian subcontinent. It is also known for a fact that contrary to our belief, Aurangabad was indeed an important and busy trade center during this period. The Ellora cave site is comprised of 34 temples and monasteries cut directly from the vast cliffs that surround the caves. The site exemplifies the Dravidian tradition of rock-cut architecture and art. Another important factor in determining the historical context with which the Ellora caves were constructed is that the rock-cut structures were built backwards. Normal temple construction begins with the gateway or gopura and progresses in the rest of the temple afterwards. Rock-cut temples began with the construction of the inner rooms, and sculptors would have worked towards the mouth of the cave, finishing with the gopura. This concept is very useful in analyzing another of the major structures at Ellora, the Dasavatara cave. This cave houses 15 inscriptions about Danti Durga 735 to 757 AD, who is thought to have been the founder of the Rashtrakuta dynasty. This would mean that Krishnaraja, although he had previously been credited with Ellora, could not be the mastermind. The chronology of the Dasavatara cave, along with the inscriptions and general styles of images contained within, may prove that Danti Durga, not Krishnaraja, was the planner behind the Ellora caves. Despite this evidence, Krishnaraja I is still credited with completing the Kailash temple, although his contribution to Ellora as a whole is still somewhat questionable. There are implications that Krishnaraja killed Danti Durga's two sons, who would have been the rightful heirs to the Rashtrakuta dynasty, and took power by force. This may be why Danti Durga's contribution to Ellora caves seems somewhat covered up and Krishnaraja's contributions glorified. Ellora is an ensemble of intricately sculptured rock-cut temples and shrines of mind-boggling size and beauty. The harmony that is evident between the three religious beliefs that coexisted there is the essence of the Hindu belief of tolerance. The more one tries to praise the architecture of Ellora, the more one seems to fall short of words. The magic that was woven on stone more than 1,000 years ago will keep casting its spell for thousands of years in future. The crown diamond of Ellora is of course the Kailashnath temple. With its enormous but delicately designed figurines and reliefs, the place seems to transport you to a world quite different from ours, where myth comes to life and where the gods and goddesses of the yore seem to hold the sway. The temple, not technically a cave, is a monolith. It was carved out from a solid hill by the name of Charanandri, starting from the top down to the base. The concept of the temple was taken from Mount Kailash, considered the abode of Lord Shiva in Hindu religion. The main temple structure, conically rising, symbolizes the linga, the representation of Lord Shiva, and the circular corridor around the temple represents the Gauripatta, the symbol of goddess Durga or Shakti, the eternal power. The temple was originally painted white with a lot of intricate floral and geometric designs to make it look more like Mount Kailash. Although Kailash is mainly credited to the Rashtrakuta dynasty, scholars have accepted that it would not have been possible for the entire temple to have been finished under one ruler. Not only would the construction of such a marvel be extremely time-consuming, but there is also the issue of non-uniform nature of much of the imagery throughout Ellora. The Gopura, or the main entrance to the temple, has sculptures of a number of lesser gods and goddesses adorning both sides. But the arch of the gate is surprisingly devoid of any designs, with only a flat face rising up, as if the sculptor had lost interest in the project in its fag end, or was too tired to design a fitting doorway to the majestic temple. Amongst all the carvings inside, the one showing King Ravan trying to uproot Mount Kailash and holding it over his head to take Lord Shiva to his kingdom is the most telling and a masterpiece by itself. In the courtyard, there are two exquisitely designed victory pillars 60 feet high, one on each side of the main entrance. The elegant carvings on the pillars leaves one wondering who could be those persons who conceived these and executed to such perfection. At the base of the main temple, there is a series of almost life-size animals like elephants, lions, and some other unknown species, giving an impression that they are carrying the temple on their backs. The subjects covered on the outside walls of the temple are varied, starting from the battle scenes from the Ramayana to erotic postures of couples engaged in lovemaking, to Ravan holding Mount Kailash. Everything is depicted. The Buddhist and Jain caves, though well designed, are no match for the Kailash cave. They are more simplistic and a lot more purpose-built than Kailash. The purpose of sculpturing such a monolithic temple would not only be for the satisfaction of just building a place of worship. Mobilizing such huge resources of manpower, designer, planner, and master architects for over 100 years must have been a severe drain to finance. But for someone with a blazing and all-devouring passion to build something really remarkable, it was a project worth taking on. The reason is not clear, but we are grateful that someone did it to enthrall and mesmerize future generations like ours. A word of caution though. I have been to Ellora at least 8 times in last 20 years, of which my last visit in February 2014 was after a gap of 6 years. This visit surprised me by the extent of deterioration I saw in the complex. In my last visit, I remember having photographed a good number of dimly visible classical wall paintings high up on the walls and the roof in one of the Jain caves. To my astonishment, those have all vanished, leaving a hazy black background instead. So visit Ellora as early as you can.